we were talking earlier, and I was in a way surprised that a guy like you would be at a Silicon Valley tech conference. What's the big deal about tech in a company like Coca-Cola? After all, a fizzy drink is a fizzy drink.
Well, of course, it's Techonomy, right? So it's technology and economy. We are here because, we fully realize that the future is not going to be an extrapolation of the past, and that the future is very much shaped by the emerging technologies, both in the digital world as well as in the physical world. And so we have to be totally in touch with where technology can take us as well, and where it can be relevant to our business.
So Guy, I can't resist doing this, using the metaphor of a Coca-Cola bottle. You fizz it up, you shake it, and when you open the top, it explodes. Is that what you're trying to do at Coca-Cola in terms of innovation, reinventing the company? We don't have a Coca-Cola bottle here, but we can imagine the effect.
Yeah, so we used to think about innovation primarily, I'm generalizing, but primarily into the space of marketing, and that is consumer engagement, leveraging a lot of digital technology, and we have leveraged this to a large extent. We are totally participating into, digital marketing, leveraging digital media, social media, and so forth. And then the other space of innovation traditionally is in the space of product, package, ingredient innovation. What we realize is we need to have a much more holistic lens on innovation and create many different avenues that get us into contact with inventors of technology, whether that be in the digital space as well as in the inert sciences or the living sciences space.
What would happen to Coca-Cola if you didn't innovate? After all, you still got that secret recipe, and billions of people are buying your products every day.
And we continue to innovate, of course, for the core of our business, right?
And the core is?
The core is the beverage portfolio that we have today.
The internet, of course, is changing everything about the world. Techonomy is an event that focuses in many ways on network society. How has the internet changed Coca-Cola?
Well, we have about 80 million plus fans on Facebook. So it has changed for us, for instance, in the marketing space, how we communicate and reach consumers. It used to be 20 years ago that we talked at the consumer through 30-second commercials. Now it is a total dialogue with consumers around the world, and that is a 24/7 engagement.
What are you learning from consumers that you didn't know before? What are consumers telling you at Coke, and how are you responding?
Well, they're telling us that, they're telling us all kinds of things, how they engage with the brand. For instance, we had a campaign this year in summer in the US, Share a Coke, where we personalize the cans, right? Where people find their own name on the can, and that has been extremely successful.
Yeah, I've seen that. So
that's extremely successful.
And people wanted that. This was crowdsourced innovation.
I wouldn't say that one was crowdsourced. It was actually developed in Australia 4 years ago. It was so successful that we spread this. But consumers tell us via Twitter, via Facebook, via all kinds of social media platforms what they like about it. And so that gives us feedback to continue to optimize this program and that campaign as we scale it around the world. We had it in 50 countries going on this summer.
Are you also in charge of blowing Coca-Cola up from the inside, about changing the corporate structure, the hierarchies, flattening out the corporate world?
Well, that's no, I'm not in charge, but I'm trying to be.
And no one could be in charge of that.
No one could be in charge of this except for the CEO, who really that is what he wants. How the question we ask ourselves is, how do we operate, as a small, nimble, agile business, and how do we leverage technologies in order to achieve that?
Who are the model for that? Large companies that are operating as an agile business. Google, of course, comes to mind.
Yes, Google comes to mind, but that is also not a company that is really in the physical world. The Coca-Cola company, we have feet on the street, trucks on the road in 207 countries around the world. So you don't, it's much more difficult to change this in an agile system, and yet we do so. Pocket by pocket, activity by activity across our entire value chain, we leverage new technologies. So automated sales force, for instance, right, that have all the commercial conditions across the portfolio in their market in front of the customer, just as one example.
A lot of our audience are startup entrepreneurs, and they're going to be thinking to themselves, how can we work with Coca-Cola? I know that you have what you call a new model for creating startups, these founders innovation centers. Tell me what they are and why you're doing them.
So the founders is really from a philosophy that we need to complement innovation, not just from an inside-in perspective, where you leverage your existing ecosystem of agencies and partners, to come up with new ideas and new solutions. We need to complement this with an outside-in perspective, where you don't even know what's out there. You just know you need to tap into the energy of ideas and technologies and passion that people have that historically had nothing to do with your business. But somehow they want to associate that idea with the Coca-Cola company out of pure personal passion, or because we have the scale and reach that we can help them scale up that idea if it proves a viable minimum product initially, and then a true business that we can scale further down the line. So that Founders program is now existing in 10 locations around the world, where we have new they are not even associates. They are people that we support their idea by giving them initially a loan that can then translates into a convertible note, which translates in potential equity stake. And the idea, if it turns out that it is something that we can scale in support of our core business, we may take the entire company, ultimately increase our equity stake and scale it.